5. They were 5-1 at the Marquette Classic, 5-1 at regionals, the Midwest Regional Championships. Minneapolis Invite 2-0. The Mizzou Spring Breakout, they were 1-3, 3-3 including unofficial games. Last year's record of 16-4, so dropped down a little bit. Not quite as many games played this year, but still a good resume for the World Cup.
Yes. Arizona State coming in with a 19-5 record. 2 of those losses coming from Lost Boys, who are obviously a very, very strong community team. So I think I might be picking them to be favorites coming into this. They've definitely improved. They were a Cinderella in last year's regional tournament, and they've really built off that success to have a strong season this year.
So far, 2 matches in the books today. A 90-60 win for Ball State over the Fighting Farmers of America. And Maryland most recently defeating British Columbia in a pretty dominant performance, 160-50, the final in that one. Brooms up, we are underway with our 3rd match on pitch 1 today in the U.S. Quidditch Cup 9.
We have Arizona State taking the ball up.
That's the keeper Jared Morita for Arizona State.
Blocks the beat, passes behind the hoops. Tries a little shovel pass next to the central hoop, but it bounces off the knee and Minnesota reclaims control.
Bludger control early here for Arizona State as Minnesota slowly works their way up the pitch. We've seen a lot of aggressiveness from some of the teams we've seen earlier today as far as their offensive attack. Some teams trying to slow it down.
Yeah, I'm guessing that Minnesota, this team, as they miss a shot there. Playing a zone defense, you tend to see a lot of teams that do that also have a much more methodical offensive style, which if Arizona State does play with that speed that we were talking about earlier, should be an interesting contrast between the 2 teams to look at.
Ben Spokley missing the shot on the medium hoop for Minnesota there. And that's Andrew Wagner in goal for them. Kind of hard to tell who's who with those pennies.
Arizona State with possession of the quaffle right at midfield.
Mort again trying to find some room. Dumps it off to Frampton.
A little give and go
loose.
there, but
Yeah.
Minnesota breaks it up.
Fast break here for Minnesota trying to get on the board. And that's good. 10-0.
All right, I was saying before I thought we might see a little slow, methodical play from Minnesota, but they were not afraid to push it there. Very good fast break, got the corner, and put it right through the small hoop.
And really a great counter attack, showing off the wheels. We'll see how Arizona State responds now.
Pass out of bounds there, or
Little
off
overthrown.
the boundary. So it seems to be Arizona State being the more methodical team to start here.
As we
Kind of
look-
taking it slow on offense.
As we look at the pool, this is Pool 8 for Arizona State and Minnesota. You have teams like QC Boston as well as Gold Coast Gumbo and Ohio University. You guys have a favorite coming out of this pool?
I would say QC Boston, without a doubt. They're very strong. And there's another goal from Minnesota. Another
that
fast
was-
break coming up here from Arizona State.
Nearly a tackle
Right to
there.
the keeper.
That shot.
Breaks through a wrap. Well
Called
done
good.
from him.
Yeah, he stayed right in front of the defense there. Attempted a wrap, but really he could just get an arm in. Not much you can do to slow that down.
Last year, we mentioned QC Boston, your favorite to be the top team in this pool. Top 3 teams advance. Who do you think will join QC Boston?
I would say one of these 2 teams, both of them, as we said, had strong seasons. A little bit of a step down for Minnesota, but still an overall winning record. 5 losses to 13 wins, not a bad record at all. Both of them potentially could go. I have to admit, I've not seen a lot of Gulf Coast Gumbo, and they're a newer community team, but we saw them playing a little bit over on pitch 7 recently, I believe, and they look like they're working together well as a team, so that might be someone to watch out for.
All right, it's slicing through the middle.
Trying to even this one up at 20. No
No
good.
goal. He was beat before the goal. Unfortunate. Beat as he was throwing, so of course that becomes an unscorable quaffle.
See how Minnesota slowly works their way up the pitch.
Looks like both these teams trying to save a bit of energy in their first game. Of course, a long day for every team today.
Both teams trying to make it to bracket play tomorrow. Total of 60 teams, 12 pools. Top 3 teams advance in each pool.
Right, that shot almost went in, but it ends up behind the hoops.
Over the hoops, yep. It's good bludger play there from Arizona State. They had a very aggressive beater from Minnesota coming all the way over, trying to clear out a little bit of offensive space. But the beater was able to block the incoming beat and get back in their defensive position that caused that long-range shot that missed.
Brentley Cass wearing the green headband for Arizona State now. Escapes a wrap. Hits it to Peterson. What a
tie
shot.
to 20.
Hit as he threw and still got it through.
That was good vision from him. He could have continued to push around the edge and try and take a contested shot, but he saw his keeper unguarded right there in the middle and just got the quick pass for an easy bucket.
Approaching 5 minutes gone by here in our third match.
Evenly matched, 20 to 20.
Yeah, no team has really taken control of this yet. They both look like they're still trying to figure out the other team at the moment.
So in the last match,
Here's a breakaway for Arizona State.
Arizona State has their first lead.
All right.
Torrey Kaiser with that goal.
Yeah, good legs there. There was also some good bludger defense. One of the Minnesota beaters, was coming up behind her, but Arizona State beater had the presence of mind. He didn't have one, but was able to get in the way to give her that space to get the fast break in.
Can Minnesota now even this one up at 30 all? Good tackle there.
Slows him down, but Minnesota retains control.
Ben Spokley, I believe that is knifing through the middle.
Sliding through a tackle.
Couple of nice fakes there.
Running through that wrap.
Trying to take those
stopped.
Trying to take those shots can be dicey when you're wrapped and have players in front of you, but like you said, those fakes did a good job of kind of giving him a clear shot at the hoop.
Arizona State now going to try and go back in front with the quaffle in midfield. And
Cass
dangerous
trying
pass.
to find his teammate Tyler Ortiz.
Yeah, that kind of give and go might work when you're farther out from the hoops, but when the keeper's right there, that's going to get intercepted most of the time. Good idea, though. You could see that they were just kind of trying to work the top, spread the defense out a little bit, while their offensive beater went in and cleared a little bit of space for them to try and make a run in on hoops. It just didn't work that time.
Keeper's going to get that pass every time. Spokley again with the shot on the short hoop, and it goes through.
That's his second consecutive goal, I believe.
Yep.
So now Minnesota has retaken the lead after trailing 30-20. They're up 40-30.
Good tackle there as Arizona State attempts to drive. We've got an advantage play here.
That got the Minnesota bench fired up.
As you can
He's
see, the
still
ref
up.
here has raised his hand for advantage. He's probably going to call a card on that.
That's going to be a good goal and a card for the neck tackle. It's David Swan, number 39. So he's going to go to the sin bin for 1 minute.
Good
Or actually, the penalty will be wiped out because it's a goal.
Exactly, yep.
So
That's a good call from the ref there. You always like seeing an advantage call. Some of the refs get caught up in the game and forget to call it. That was a really good job by him to let the play continue, and obviously Arizona State got the goal out of it to tie the game at 40 all.
he was on his way to the box, and captain told him to turn around.
40 all. While we have a moment as this match goes on and our viewers watch, share with us, guys, a little bit of some of your experiences so far in Quidditch, what got you involved, and some of the things you've really enjoyed.
I was involved. I just wanted to be involved and active while I was in college. I was a swimmer, but club swim started at 5 a.m., so a little bit too early for me. So I went out for Quidditch and really enjoyed it. It's really been growing at Virginia where both of us play. We started with just one team, pretty small, but we've grown up to 2 teams that have gotten much more competitive as more people try out. So we're really excited to see it grow. And the Mid-Atlantic region where we play is an awesome region, very high density, really good quality of play. So we're very excited to see where the sport goes in the future.
Nate, for
Yeah, I
you?
have a similar story to Pete in that I wanted something that was low-key and active. I'm a runner, so it does kind of get boring just exercising by yourself all the time. So that was my impetus for joining Quidditch 4 years ago. It makes me feel old and grumpy.
There was another long-range goal there from Arizona State from behind the hoops. It looked like it was going out of the hard boundary, but the Arizona State chaser just didn't give up on the play, went and scooped it up, saw the defensive collapse, giving space for the shot, and she took it and went through. Really good long-distance shot.
Arizona State in front by just by a goal, and Minnesota tried to tie it up, denied there.
Excellent block at the hoops. Really good reflex.
I guess that was the keeper, Moreta, back on at keeper. Absolute stuff at the short hoop.
And Arizona State playing with a lot more pace now, as we were expecting to see, and that's a good goal.
Kind of interesting play, kind of stopped there. And then the chaser picked it up and put it through.
A little bit of
Play to the
confusion
whistle.
there in the Minnesota defense, I believe.
Nice little run here right now for Arizona State.
And so you thought with those 2 consecutive goals when Minnesota took the lead, it looked like they were kind of taking the momentum, but ASU's bounced back very well right now.
And both teams in snitch range.
Yes. You have about 8.5 minutes, which is a decent amount of time. That's the second block bludger from the Arizona State beater, and no good on the goal
Shot
there.
just over the short hoop. Tough look there. Had a good look.
Yeah, that's a good skill set to have as a beater. If you can swat away incoming bludgers, lets you stay in the play. A lot of space can get opened up if the other team on attack can clear out your beaters and give you some space to take that shot. But Arizona State beater is playing very well to try and keep in position right now.
Here's Arizona State on the attack, trying to maintain possession of the quaffle.
Number 16 able to get back on her feet. Very well done.
Jarrett Bailey had the quaffle. Couldn't get it through, but
A couple of low passes right there.
That defense kind of forced them to take shots they didn't necessarily want to take, but or passes, I should say. But they really weren't able to capitalize. Even though they were bad passes, no one really fell in the quaffle. So Arizona State got second and third chance there.
so Andrew Wagner,
Fighting through a
wearing
lot
the
of contact.
green headband and staying on his feet through that tackle.
Opportunity for Minnesota, and it's good. Right down the middle.
You could tell he wanted to drive on that possession. Right? As soon as he steps outside of his own keeper zone, Arizona State starts putting pressure on him, fighting through the tackles, took the quaffle basically the entire way down the pitch.
I believe that was number 8, Peter Neiman. It'll be his first goal of the day.
Probably the slowest coast-to-coast I've ever seen.
Really methodical now.
1-goal match.
Good jump there from the Minnesota, I should say, beater to jump bludger, but doesn't do them much good as Arizona State scores again to widen their lead.
Yeah, right back up to a 2-goal lead.
Number 10, Joshua Lovato. Sorry, Brad.
Inside of 7 minutes to play in this match.
Yeah, and this is where you really want to start thinking about trying to score as much as you can in a short period of time, because once you have beaters dedicated to snitch play, that opens up a lot of offensive space. You need to keep a mind out for that.
Foul coming here. I think it was a wrap from behind, but advantage being played for the moment.
And Quaffle loose, there's the whistle.
Yeah.
Wait and see the call. A yellow card being given.
Number 9 on
That's
Arizona
Thomas
State.
Frampton, Arizona State. And that is a tackle from behind, I believe.
Yeah, both of these teams starting to play much more aggressive now. We started out seeing them kind of pass around the edges, pushing to the corner, a lot of things like that. But now that the teams have sort of felt each other out, they're coming right at each other, knocking each other in the teeth.
This game finally balanced. Could still go either way.
.6:26 remaining on the clock.
And not every game is always going to end up in snitch range, but this is why it's important to have a good seeker on your roster, because when you have situations like these where neither team can really break out to a decisive lead and it's going back and forth like this, you really need someone who can play well on the snitch to be able to kind of give you that final push over the edge.
So the referee crew having a discussion now.
I'm not sure exactly what the controversy is. It might just be
Probably about
positioning after the when the foul was called.
who was and wasn't beat when the foul, or who needs to be reset, something like that. Of course, there was advantage play.
And it's one of the difficult things with the advantage call. I do like its addition to this latest edition of the rule book, kind of give teams a chance to play more freely, because obviously every time you get fouled, sometimes you can still get the shot off, get a goal or something like that. So in that aspect, the rule is good, but sometimes you get these confusing situations where when you have a player like the Minnesota keeper who just doesn't give up on the play, the advantage can go on for a while and you got to sort things out.
So we have Neiman being sent back to hoops, I believe. He must have been beat.
It's like they have things sorted out. There's a Minnesota goal as we're back down to a 1-point deficit.
Approaching 6 minutes to play in just a 1-goal match.
Ben Spokley again with that goal. I believe that's number 3 for him.
Arizona State trying to go back in front by 2 goals. That one deflected wide.
Frampton out of the box and immediately gets that shot off.
We were talking about that Minnesota zone defense. It looks like Arizona State's primary offensive strategy looks like they're trying to pass across the top and open up spaces. And usually that's a very good strategy for man defense because you can get people out of position. But with the zone that Minnesota's playing, they're able to break up those passes, make things a little bit difficult for ASU. There's a block at the hoops. We got a fast break here from Arizona State. Coming down the right side, weaves into the middle, but he's got a bludger facing up against him.
So resets to Frampton.
No throw, a little timid there from the bludger play. Probably could have taken Arizona State out of that. But
Keeper Moretta still behind the hoops.
And the block.
Tries to get the touch shot off.
way to get his body in the way there. It looks like we're about to have a fast break here from Minnesota, but the Arizona State beater is back. Slows him down, but we've got someone in the middle. Bad pass. That's unfortunate. He was wide open in front of hoops. No one's going to catch him there, but it was a long throw, windy day.
Well, missed opportunity to see if it comes back to haunt Minnesota.
It's possible.
Still both teams in snitch range inside of 5 minutes. This one could still go either way right now.
Yeah, I think Minnesota's beaters need to get a little bit more aggressive here. There were a couple situations in that last possession by Arizona State where they could have ended that play, but Arizona State continued to work around the outside. And even though they didn't score, it looked dangerous there for a few times.
Here comes Swan. He's going to make up for that last fast break and does nail the shot.
We're tied at 70.
And right there at the end, bludger right in front, just a little too late to prevent that goal. We're even.
Yeah, it's always a tricky play as a chaser because if the rules are different for passing versus shooting in terms of beater contact. So you have to make sure that the ball has left your hand before you take that shot. So he had to make sure that timing was just right as well as his aim, but very good play there.
Behind the hoops to Bailey. He fights through a wrap and gets it in. And a whistle here.
Good toughness there. Might have been some contact though, as a little bit of a scrum down by the medium hoop.
I haven't had a chance to ask you guys this. You know, Texas, the University of Texas, 3-time champion, three-peat coming into this one. Do you guys have your favorite to win it all this year? I've heard people say, you know, there's not going to be a team from Texas winning it this year. You know, a lot of other people saying, you know, it's going to be Texas. It has to be a team coming out of the Southwest region. Your thoughts?
I definitely think the Southwest region is the strongest. I would not be surprised to see Texas take the four-peat, to coin a phrase. People say this is the year of the community team. I think the advantage that a lot of college teams have is that they are constantly in contact with each other. A lot of community teams have to take time out of their schedules, kind of make practices work around everyone else. When you've got a college team, it's a lot harder, or it's a lot easier, I should say, to have regular practices and get that teamwork in. So the physicality aspect that community teams have to their advantage, I think once you get to the Elite Eight of the USQ Cup, I think that physicality advantage kind of diminishes and the teamwork aspect of the college teams comes back into play.
And one thing you can put forth with the community teams, though, is you can have really an all-star team.
This is true.
The way it is, and that kind of changes up your approach. You know, you pick who's best at positions, put your team together, and, you know, hope for a title.
Yeah, and I will say, if I had to pick a community team, I would say either Lone Star QC or Texas Cavalry, because they are both largely comprised of those previous Texas championship rosters.
Yeah, Lone Star QC last year, making it to the final, losing to the University of Texas, but Lone Star QC winning the regional championship this year over University of Texas, and Texas hasn't needed a regional championship to show that they can get it done.
Exactly.
Pete, I'm kind of with you there. I think this is the year of the community team. So we're going to have one win, and I'm personally excited. We're going to be on the live stream later when Lost Boys plays Texas State. And those Texas teams, Lost Boys, I'm excited to watch Texas Cavalry later. I think have the best shot.
Lost Boys made a nice run in last year's World Cup in Rock Hill.
That's right.
And of course, Texas State as well made, I believe it was either the Elite Eight or the Final Four a couple of years ago with an excellent game. Lots of offense they played against, I think it was Texas A&M, if I remember correctly.
2:07 remaining in stoppage and play.
So there was some contact and a tackle into the hoop. I'm not sure whether the contact was legal. I guess it is because the yellow card has come out. So that's Brentley Cass for Arizona State heading to the box for the next minute.
As we were discussing the forecast there, a few little breaks from Arizona State takes them back to a 9-7 lead. But still within snitch range for Minnesota. If they can get their seeker out there fast, try and get some leverage up on the snitch and make the pull, they can still win this game at this point. And we're getting close. It's almost under 2 minutes before the snitch is back, or before the seekers are released, I should say.
This is anybody's game right now. Exciting to watch.
And a reminder that our next match coming up on pitch 1, Texas Cavalry versus DCQC.
The DCQC, another one of our Mid-Atlantic friends playing there, so excited to see that. Might stick around and watch that one as well. Minnesota responding well. They're able to capitalize off that power play and force a shot through the medium hoop. So we're back to a one-score
out
game.
of the box. Pass behind the hoops to Jacob Lawson, seeing his first action today.
Makes the Minnesota defender leave his feet, but good block there from the keeper, and it's Minnesota quaffle again.
Reaching up and blocking that one with authority.
Inside of 90 seconds, just a 1-goal match. Both teams going to try and slow things down here a little bit, gather some energy.
This is exactly what you want to see if you're a spectator. You want to see two teams that are evenly matched coming in with both within snitch range. So we should see some exciting seeking here coming up in a minute. So if you're watching here on the live stream, I'd keep your eyes on that seeker. Both these teams really want it.
Minnesota trying to get the ball behind the hoops, and the Arizona State defense doing their best box out to get the quaffle back. Next goal is crucial.
Snitch here keeping with the theme of all red shirts as he trots out onto the pitch. But you'll see in there he's got yellow shorts there at the bottom of your screen.
Paulo Pena in at keeper for Arizona State. He passes to Lawson, and they try to do the touch and go, but the pass does not connect.
And that long passing game, hit or miss with Arizona State. Sometimes it's worked, but when Minnesota's responded, they've responded well, and they've counterattacked quite capably throughout this entire match.
They're looking for teams to continue to try and play to their strengths. As that shot off the top of the hoop and good. Inside of 10 seconds.
We've got a
he
tie
rolled
game
it.
as the Seekers come
He
out.
rolled it, no goal.
Original signal was goal, but it is still a 1-goal lead for Arizona State.
Yeah, head ref might have had a better angle possibly than the
He
goal
and I
ref.
thought that hit the top of the hoop and went aside. So head ref in the best position to make that judgment.
Not a tie game as the Seekers come out, but obviously, as we said,
Oh, what
still,
a pass there from Lovato, Joshua Lovato to the keeper Moreta.
So we've got a 10-8 Arizona State lead, still within snitch range.
Moreta climbing the ladder to get that one and punch it through the middle hoop.
Yeah, very good alley-oop goal there.
James Steenbach on seeking for Arizona State. Had a
One-on-one
couple looks there.
opportunity for Minnesota on the snitch.
Good way to fight through contact. He was able to close on the hoop there. If he'd been much farther out, that would have fallen short.
Oh, Steenbach had his hand on it, and then he's beat. Really close to catching there.
The elusiveness for the snitch right now, and the Superman shirt. Not only is it red, the Superman logo on the front.
It's a classic snitch move.
Celia Evans at the short hoop for Arizona State and stuffed.
Now we might see a little bit more free-flowing scoring here as the snitch is on pitch because you get beaters who have to beat the other seeker, try and limit their opportunities to grab the snitch, so it gives chasers a little bit more space to run freely at the hoops.
A one-goal match as both seekers go to work. Opportunity right now for Minnesota to sneak in. Arizona State drawing a lot of attention from the snitch. An opportunity for Minnesota to go one-on-one with the snitch.
We got a fast quaffle break here for Arizona State, but it's stripped by the Minnesota chaser.
And the whistle has been blown and play stopped for some of the players.
A little bit of extracurricular activity. Once you get locked in on that snitch, sometimes everything else just disappears around you, so they're going to have to move back to their original position.
I didn't hear the head ref blow the whistle the first time. He just kind of stopped and started talking to them. So we have a card.
Yeah, I'm not entirely. It looked like it was a legal strip there. He didn't really make much contact, just kind of stuck his arm out and popped the quaffle out.
It might have been, if it's from behind, it's illegal.
Yeah.
So that's number 25, Grant Zestupel for Minnesota, heading to the box for the next minute. Good amount of cards in this game.
Yeah, it looks like I can hear the ref down the pitch now saying
Yeah.
it was some contact from behind. So Arizona State with possession right next to the hoops. She could possibly attempt to score, but she's got two Minnesota defenders right there. So she's got one of her chasers there at the top middle, right outside the keeper zone. Might try and bounce it back out to him for a little bit clearer of a shot. Still, I believe, trying to...
They got to reset everyone who was around the snitch because they didn't hear the whistle.
We will resume play here momentarily. Arizona State taking on Minnesota. Minnesota in the white shorts, the green pullovers, and
They got green and red pullovers.
Good hit. Excellent strip. That was
Pearson.
off a power play. That could have been a goal, but Arizona State still has the quaffle capitalizing here.
There he's got
There
it
it
now.
is.
able just to flip it in.
Peterson dropped the pass and kind of left himself out to dry for the hit, but he rebounded and grabbed the quaffle. Kept his wits about him.
Good initial defense there from Minnesota, not just kind of... A lot of teams, when you've got a card that's right next to goal, they'll just kind of give up, let it go in, get their player back on pitch, and regroup. But Minnesota definitely wanted to try and save that play, but sometimes not much you can do.
Nearly a snitch catch for Arizona State. Now bludger play will give the snitch a momentarily rest.
Minnesota one-on-one, and the snitch very nearly exposed his backside to the Minnesota seeker, but it looked like he was adjusting his headband at the time, so he missed the opportunity.
Swan just says Stupel there, out of the box after the goal, but couldn't convert on the middle hoop. Now this is Moreta, and he gets it on the short hoop.
And 120 to 90 now, so things getting interesting as the snitch goes down hard right at midfield.
The crucial third goal, or the three-point lead.
Could we see our first overtime match in extra 5 minutes?
It's possible. It looks like the main difficulty we're seeing here for the Minnesota seeker is he's just a little bit shorter than the snitch, who also is a pretty big guy. So sometimes you see these smaller people who have wrestling backgrounds who can get some leverage on the snitch, but it looks like Minnesota's having some trouble getting around that last edge and getting the push on the snitch right now.
Yep, I'd agree. Harry Greenhouse joining us in the booth, and an opportunity to see him in the Major League Quidditch Championships a few months back.
Holy crap, it's you guys! Oh, you're not supposed to say that on air, am I? What's up, people at home? That's actually the Snitch's Ben Tunick. He's a University of Maryland Quidditch player.
All right.
He's a former offensive lineman.
That'll do it. That's
Yes, of course.
That'll-
I see.
that'll explain why he's so hard to get through.
Yes, he's big, large, he hits people and stuff.
Snitch getting a lot of rest here as the referees clear things up.
This is the second time, a pretty short span of time, we've had a little bit of confusion that needs to be reset.
So there was an advantage play there. unidentified player on Minnesota got himself a card, but of course canceled out by the goal.
And we resume play. One bludger loose right now picked up by Arizona State. And Minnesota right now desperately needs a goal.
Absolutely, and as we said, the score is 90 to 120. For our viewers at home who may not be as familiar with Quidditch, Minnesota can still catch the snitch. That will send the game to overtime, which obviously that keeps the game going. It's not the worst thing in the world, but you like to get a win when you pull the snitch. It can be a real momentum killer if you...
Wagner trying to get that goal with the green headband for Minnesota.
And there you go. So
Fights
now,
through.
So point differential crucial in this matchup.
so now overtime, not an immediate threat. If Arizona State scores again, they'll be back in that same situation. As Arizona State misses a clear shot at goal, it just rolls over the top of the medium hoop.
A couple of snitch catch opportunities for both sides. Snitch busy right now. Now it's going to be one-on-one with Minnesota.
The Minnesota beaters are doing a really good job of clearing out the Arizona State seeker. It seems like I've seen a lot of one-on-one between the Minnesota seeker and the snitch, while the Arizona seekers are getting, maybe one or two runs at it before those Gopher beaters come in and knock them out.
Good pass from Ben Spokley there, right over the defender.
There's Joe Reese, the current seeker for Minnesota, and nearly a snitch catch.
It's a real back and forth in the Quaffle game now as Arizona State restores their 2-goal lead.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. They had a fast break on. The entire Minnesota defense was just collapsed, just in a straight line next to the goals. No one stepped out. No one went to the ball. It was a very easy dunk.
It's the
And
chaos.
underneath that time, near snitch catch, but not a legal snitch catch.
It looks like the seeker had fallen to ground and the broom came out right beforehand. We got another Minnesota goal there.
The
So
Stupa with the goal there. And Pete, it's the chaos of snitch on pitch. Sometimes you get distracted a
a
little.
lot of things to watch right now.
Brentley Cass in as keeper for Arizona State. Passes
Gets
to
the
Lawson.
edge,
And back to
passes
Cass.
it back over. He gets the top. Good passing there from Arizona State, trying to get a more high percentage shot.
Peterson
And
fighting
they get
through
it.
the wrap. And he had the hoop he was aiming for the middle hoop, it was knocked over.
Still a 2-goal match.
That's right.
Bludger play used by both sides.
The Minnesota down 30 for a long time there without being able to score, but they've really bounced back here and they're trading blows again like we saw earlier in the game as we get another fast breaker on the edge. Hard hit there from the Arizona State defender.
Straight for Cass, and he stood his ground.
Ball popped out just a little bit wide of the hoops there, but Minnesota maintains possession.
Quaffle loose, picked up by Minnesota.
Swan wrap there, couldn't shake the wrap.
Minnesota scores to make it a 1-goal match.
That was just tenacity there from the Golden Gophers. They kept getting tackled and the ball came loose, but again, none of the Sun Devil defenders could drop on top of the Quaffle and actually pick it up, so they were able to have a second and third shot.
140 to 130 your score.
Cass
At
keeper.
150 to 130 now.
Cass the keeper to Ortiz at the short hoop. Really wide open in the Quaffle game right now.
Bludger play used. One-on-one opportunity for Arizona State.
Right in front of us, the snitch is running around in front of the spectator area, and almost a couple catches there. You might have heard the yells from the spectators. And another whistle here. We're going to have another card.
And this is the part of the game where things can get a little bit chippy once that snitch is out on pitch.
It was our highest scoring match so far on pitch 1 for both sides. 160 to 50 was the score in the Maryland over British Columbia matchup. Continuing to enjoy some very nice weather. The breeze has died down a little bit for us here in the booth.
Yeah, we were able to catch the end of that Maryland-British Columbia game. Maryland looked really dominant there. They made a Final Four run last year's World Cup, and they are always a very strong team. But at this year's Mid-Atlantic Regional Championships, they actually were upset in the Final Four by Penn State, who went on to lose to District of Columbia in the final. But they're looking to rebound here and make their mark at World Cup.
And Penn State, one of the teams making a lot of noise coming in the opening ceremony today.
They also they were playing Tennessee Tech and had a great come from behind victory. I think they were down by 8 at one point. Were able to force it back and win with a snitch catch.
Another goal, so 160 to 130.
And Minnesota back on the edge of that snitch range play.
And
there's
snitch
an
catch.
Arizona
Catch, there we
State
go.
catch. That looked entirely legal. Snitch was on his feet. That was just a good grab.
Wait for the official call. Arizona State looking for a 190 to 130 victory. Referees will confer.
Good
And
catch.
Arizona State still waiting on the signal. There's the official call.
right.
Arizona State with the victory over Minnesota by a score of 190 to 130, the highest combination of goals that we've seen so far, and now 3 matches in the books here on pitch 1.
Yeah, no, it was a really good game. It looked like Arizona State just had more legs throughout the entire thing. Both of them trading blows. Very close game, as you said. Both of these teams very good upper middle kind of teams. Just 5 losses apiece for each of them. 6 now for Minnesota on the season. Yes. But yeah, Arizona State just able to play out the stretch a lot better. Really good snitch play from both. As we said before, both of these teams could possibly make a run